Want a good money tip? Or maybe two tips. Okay, so hi, I'm Stephanie Jones. I'm the host of the Giving Your Best Life podcast. And I have really, man, I was kind of a hot mess when it came to money when I got out of college. And I really started studying money, studying spending, how do you get out of debt, and have put that in action for the last couple of decades. And it has been life changing. And it's something that I love talking to young women, high schoolers in your teens, your 20s about money. Because if you can understand how to manage your money now, it is going to be life changing for the rest of your life. So, these are going to sound like really easy tips, um, but it sounds easy, but hard to implement, and do consistently. So, a lot of the things that I talk about on the Giving Your Best Life podcast is you may, hey, go do it once, go do it twice, but it really is about how do you practice consistency and longevity in some of the things that I talk about to really see a true impact in your life and those that are around you. One of the things that I never did when I was in college, and I had multiple jobs in college. So I worked all through college. In the summers, I was a nanny. Also, in addition to being a nanny, I worked at Old Navy. I worked at Williams Sonoma. Like I always had multiple jobs bringing in money. And honestly, I was just like living kind of loosey goosey and just making sure that I could pay my bills. One of the mistakes that I made, like right out of college, was getting a credit card and putting stuff on the credit card that I didn't need. The biggest thing, and I didn't get into like tens of $1,000s of debt, but it was just like $1,000, 2000. And, back in the late 90s, I graduated in 99, early 2000s, like that was a lot of money for me. And I didn't like it just started to carry this weight is I would go to Old Navy. I always use that because I love their clothes, but still it's like I would charge those clothes on there. And then it just slowly compounded. When I really started getting in and caring about money and like how to be wise with our money, how do we make decisions, is when I got married. And my husband and I, this was before, we were watching Dave Ramsey or listening to Dave Ramsey, which I'm a huge Dave Ramsey fan. So if you want to dive deeper into like learning about money, go check out Dave Ramsey, Rachel Cruz, their books. I always recommend them. I buy them a lot of times for young people. But is my husband and I really did an inventory of the debt that we had. So we both had car loans, we both had student loans. I had from undergrad and getting working on a master's degree. He had student loans. And then we both had credit card debt. And we just sat down one day and put everything in a spreadsheet, wrote it out so we knew how much we owed. We put the interest rate so we knew how much interest we were paying on stuff, which is very shocking on some things. And then we put like what was the monthly payment. And then this is the key. So once we knew like what debt we had, we made a list of all of our expenses. So making a budget. This was life changing for us. So we knew exactly how much money we were making each month and bringing in after taxes. And then we knew exactly how we were spending our money, and we got really, really tight on how we were spending our money. Something happens when you have to face the music of like, you can't lie to yourself anymore. When you look at your credit card and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm spending all this money on coffee or going out to eat or DoorDash or whatever it is. You think one time isn't a big time, but if you do that multiple times a week, times, 4 weeks in a month, times 52 weeks in a year, the compound effect of that over a year can be, I mean, it can really swing your budget, your debt. And so what we started doing is just like paying things off. We took the highest interest rate and we just started putting any extra money. If I worked overtime, if my husband worked overtime, if we worked projects, we just put everything on that. Now, we got a little drastic, and my husband actually, we sold both of our vehicles. We got one vehicle, and we had one vehicle in our house for, I think it was like 12 years. Now, my husband is an Indiana state trooper. He has a police car that he can drive anywhere in the state of Indiana. So that did help. But there was a lot of times we were having to like negotiate our schedules because there are some limitations with him having, being able to use that car. And so we got out of our credit card debt fairly quickly. And then, we got to where our car was paid off. And so that's like thing one is evaluating if you have any debt and then making a list of all your expenses, creating a budget, and then sticking to it, like tracking your expenditures, and you'll be shocked of how much money you can save. I'll give you an example. Like over the years, I mean, I went from being a poor police officer to working in corporate America, getting raises, getting bonuses, getting stock, like seeing my income go up. But my husband and I were always very intentional about how we spent our money, what we were saving, investing. We actually ended up paying off our home. So we haven't had any debt, including our home, for a long time. But it was like the work that we did all those years to get credit cards, student loan, cars paid off that put us in a position to dump more on our mortgage and to get that paid off. So you see like this compound effect of like how old you are now, the money that you make, and the decisions that you make can affect you later in life. Also, the other thing is when it comes to your budget is you might have to make sacrifices. So tip number two is, and this seems so common, so easy, like duh, Stephanie, is don't spend more money than you make. And that is, again, easier said than done. And it does take a lot of sacrifices. So I'll give you an example of 2 years ago, I got laid off from my corporate job. Now, I probably could have searched, found another corporate job. But I really felt like God was leading me down another path to really lean into my podcast, to my publishing company, to do some consulting and not go back into corporate America. So I lost that whole salary. And one, again, like we had no idea decades ago the power of us not having any debt. It really was freeing that when I lost my job, that it was like, okay, well, we don't have any like debt that we owe. Obviously, we spend our money on food and vacations and doing fun things. I'm still a giver and love to give financially and give gifts. But what was interesting is when I went from like having my corporate salary to what we were spending to when I lost my corporate salary, how easy we were to adjust our budgets. Again, looking at our spending and going, okay, we're going to have to cut this out. We're not going to be able to do this. I'll tell you what I was buying on Amazon dropped. It got me thinking multiple times of like, hey, do I really need this? And a lot of times that's where we can get in trouble is like with Amazon is we'll think of something and then we'll just go order it. Well, that was fine when I had my corporate job, but now I really had to make sure that our expenses were lower than what we were bringing in. So these are 2 tips for you. I want to set you up with success as it relates to money. Number 1, evaluate your debt and make a budget. And then number 2 is make sure you are not spending more than you make. So hopefully what I chatted about today was just another way that you can get to giving your best life. Thank you for listening to the Giving Your Best Life podcast. If this episode encouraged you, would you please share it with a friend or family member? Also, we'd love it if you would rate and review this podcast. Finally, if you want to connect with us, subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Giving Your Best Life. Have a fabulous day.